do we basically get to this ideal point? Like if you want to get into this center of this bubble Venn diagram, how do you basically slowly move price and overlap it onto the product and market intersection, right? And that is the skill that basically differentiates the different product managers. That's how I would put it, because if everyone could do that almost like identical, or if there was a framework, or if there was a methodology which like the Porter's five forces, or say the BCG matrix, if it was so simple, I'm sure all product managers would be successful and everyone would be identical, right? The skill of getting that overlap using the value-based pricing is where I think the crux of the discussion is. And this is a high-level framework that basically, or I would say a process, this is actually a process which is time and again given results to every one of us when we basically are trying to build our product and get that sweet spot. How do you get into that product market fit? So at the core, if you look at it, is it all starts with data and analysis. And I totally can understand the plight of some of the product managers who have no baseline to fall upon, right? Like the question immediately, many times when I flash this, the first question that people ask is like, hey Vignesh, what if I'm going to create a new category, or I'm going to create a new segment, or a product has no peers or comparison. It's like almost like starting afresh. Yes, that's the most toughest situation that a product manager can have. But at the same time, think about it. I usually think about it in this way, right? Like it's so, I mean, the hypothesis that you would be testing in with a product like that is so innovative. Because if there is no such product available in the market, imagine how many questions, or how many wide lenses you can, how many different lenses you can use to basically do your analysis. But yes, if you have to really quantify what data analysis is all about, you can either look at it from in a mature product. Obviously, you have data available, so you basically start running your quantitative models. Like you can do a lot of conjoint analysis, factor analysis, which basically tells about what's the independent and dependent variables, how they basically coexist, and what's the influence of, say, a dependent variable when it changes. How does it impact all the independent variable, how it basically impacts all the dependent variables. So a lot of analysis can be done when you get data back from the customers, right? Like, and that's the ideal model that all of us want to eventually land. But what if we basically do not have data to start with? That's when I think the qualitative aspect comes in, and this is slightly more time consuming, because now you are going to do more things from direct interactions with customers, right? Like you're going to go do more. I'm sure many of you would have already done this in your past. You would have done the focus group discussions. You would have done primary research, secondary research. You would have spoken to people from different geographies in a form of interviews, surveys. And that's how you slowly start building your hypothesis and building data to support or reject your hypothesis. And these questions, which are initially starting as qualitative analysis, slowly they move towards like you translate the data of these qualitative research into a quantitative, and that's when you start putting together data and use it eventually using the first techniques that we spoke about. So that's where it all starts. And then basically you go and launch the product with an MVP product. You onboard your customers. Once you have your beta customers, they are like the evangelists of your product. Choosing your beta customers is very, very important. I'll just highlight a use case about in the next slide. I'll talk about a use case about Dropbox, how they basically built themselves and how they basically captured customers. So the idea is launch your MVP, let people come as beta customers, free trials, initial early adopters, and then from there you take feedback and you come back to you come back to your product iteration, the third phase, which is learn and iterate. This is where you build or enhance the data set. and you basically get it from the market, you get it from customers, you are getting all the data back, and you're going to prepare your next step of qualitative and quantitative analysis. If there is good enough data already generated, you might directly go into good modeling concepts. You might want to start looking at network effects and all those kind of deep dive conjoint analysis, etc. and all. But if you still feel that data is not good enough, the quality, it's not always about the amount of data that you have, right? The quality of data also really matters. And if you feel that the quality of data is still not good enough for you to derive good insights, we go back into this second layer. We go back and, hey, this is what we heard from the MVP launch. We would want to do a survey on how we can make this product even better, etc., etc. So it's a cycle that keeps going on. I think the smart product managers usually use this as frequently as possible. Obviously, you don't want to be in a state where you're constantly making corrections that it is confusing the customer, but you will have to bake in the feedback loop and be very cognizant of what your next release would look like, and it has to address the most spoken or the most important feedbacks that's coming back from the customers.